Part 97. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 962. The wedding is still going on. Although the 6th and 7th floors were messed up, it didn't affect the downstairs at all. Mu Zi held Sidu Yan in one arm, and a delicate rose in the other. With a smile on her lips, she walked towards Murongcheng step by step. Murongcheng watched her approaching him. His chest was hot and swollen. The pure white gauze skirt is like layers of petals, and every step it takes, it is swaying, and it seems that countless stars are shining brightly. A female guest in the crowd suddenly gasped and exclaimed in surprise, "Oh my God, it's a diamond!" The tulle on the outer layer of the skirt is exquisitely embellished with countless diamonds. Create the most dazzling and luxurious starlight effect. Everyone was shocked, and felt that every step Mu Zi took was on the tip of their hearts. If a few diamonds are dropped, they are all money. Those exclamations reached Sidu Yan's ears, and his mood was heavy. There may be many rich people in this world, but there are not many people as unscrupulous as Murongcheng. Turning the money into roses and spreading them all over the sky, and now putting diamonds all over the wedding dress, Sidu Yan can almost predict what will be written in tomorrow's news. It will probably compare the photos of people suffering from cold and starvation in impoverished areas with the extravagant extravagance at weddings, criticize the gap between the rich and the poor, criticize social chaos, and criticize everything that can be criticized. Sidu Yan's mind is now full of an emergency meeting immediately after the wedding. In response to the crisis of public opinion, preventive measures must be prepared in advance. I just hope this kid won't do any more tricks. Sidu Yan stared straight ahead at Murongcheng with a stern expression, and finally, his eyes fell on the wedding ring beside him. Fortunately, the style is very simple, just 2 light gold rings. Sidu Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Presumably this is what Mu Zi asked for, right? If you want to study in school in the future, how can you wear a big diamond every day? Too heavy to handle. Then everything went well. The two exchanged wedding rings, kissed gently amidst the blessings and applause of everyone, and then a lively banquet. The guests came from all corners of the country, with various accents. Most of them were businessmen who had business dealings with Murongcheng and the Huo family, oil tycoons, car company owners, real estate presidents. There was a white and fat old man with a rosy face from drinking. He toasted Sidu Yan with a smile, "My lord, the tax on the shipping industry is too heavy. When will we reduce the tax?" As soon as he finished speaking, he was pulled away by another person. "Boss Zhao, you must be drinking too much. Master Rong said that today you are only allowed to talk about marriage, and nothing else." Sidu Yan watched the two leave with complicated emotions. Taxes on shipping were cut a while ago, okay. At this time, Mr. Sidu and Mrs. Madam also heard the news, and learned that the groom is a director of the Xianghai Mushi Group. The two of them were unfamiliar with the name Murongcheng. Right now, Sidu Yan couldn't explain the current situation in the south to them, so he only said vaguely, "Shen Kong misunderstood. Murongcheng happened to be on vacation to accompany Zizi recently, and Shen Kong mistakenly thought that he had no job." "Ridiculous," Mr. Sidu said in astonishment. "Didn't you check it out?" "I didn't expect this level at the time, and Zizi never mentioned it." The old lady didn't respond. She just thought that Mu Zi was marrying an ordinary businessman. It was better than a jobless person. She didn't care much about it. After a while, when she was about to go upstairs to check on Ning Yue's situation, she learned that the wedding banquet had ended. The old lady was startled. "It's over so soon." The old lady was surprised, and she couldn't find Ning Yue, so she called Xie's family. Xie's family swallowed her anger and said, "Old madam, we have agreed to advance the wedding date because we heard you say that the wedding banquet will only be held on 2 levels in the future. I am afraid that there will be bad words, so it would be better to have a wedding banquet with Miss Sidu to look good." Look, our guests don't even have a place to sit. Lixuan hasn't come home yet. This marriage, I think it's better not to get married. What? The old lady's blood was surging, her eyes darkened, and she passed out. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 963. Muzi was changing clothes in the lounge. She was completely unaware of all the things happening outside. Zhang Ci helped her hold the skirt, and Zhang Xinyuan helped her unzip the back. Muzi has never taken off her clothes so carefully in her life. She didn't know that her wedding dress was so expensive. She originally thought that the shiny ones were just beautiful glass beads. After taking off the wedding dress intact, Muzi breathed a sigh of relief. What about this wedding dress? Zhang Ci asked. Put it on first. Muzi collapsed on the sofa in relief, waved her hands and said, I discussed it with Murong Cheng just now, and I will take it to a charity auction after the wedding. Otherwise, it would be a waste to put it at home. While putting on the wedding dress, Zhang Ci said, I really didn't expect you to marry him, no wonder you refused to tell me. Those casinos in Xianghai City are always involved in some illegal activities. If Zhang Ci knew that the groom was Murong Cheng, he would definitely not be able to understand Muzi's choice. Ye Zhang Xinyuan was also quite touched. I really didn't expect you to marry your brother, no wonder you refused to tell me. Among Muzi's friends, only Zhang Xinyuan had seen Murong Cheng, and the others only knew that there was a dandy fourth young master in the Mu family, but they had never seen what the fourth young master Mu looked like. Zhang Ci and Zhang Xinyuan looked at each other, and then looked at Muzi on the sofa together. Their eyes were very helpless. Muzi rubbed her nose and smiled embarrassingly. I didn't mean to hide it from you guys, it's really hard to say, haha, hard to say. Zhang Ci and Zhang Xinyuan still watched her silently. Okay. Muzi corrected her attitude, sat up straight, and said seriously, I apologize, I make it up. Tell me, what should I do? Zhang Xinyuan thought about it, and discussed with Zhang Ci, how about using eyeshadow to draw some hickey marks on her body? Then Murong Cheng will be shocked. Muzi opened her eyes wide in surprise. Can't tell. When Zhang Xinyuan got bad, he was no worse than Zhuang Jie. Zhang Ci actually discussed this question with her very seriously. Can you make that kind of effect? You can try it, Zhang Xinyuan said, use eyeshadows with similar colors. Zhang Ci nodded, I'll catch her, you come and paint her. Muzi jumped up from the sofa and ran away. What a joke, she didn't want to wear fake hickeys on the wedding night in the bridal chamber. The three women were chasing each other in the room, fighting together, without any image at all. Muzi suffered the most. She just took off her wedding dress, and now she is only wearing underwear, which is not much different from being naked. There was a knock on the door. They were fighting so hard inside that they didn't hear any of them. The knock on the door was louder, accompanied by Murong Cheng's impatient voice, have you changed your clothes yet? Zhang Ci raised his voice and replied, okay. After speaking, he dragged Zhang Xinyuan to open the door. Muzi's face immediately changed, hey. You are not righteous. She hasn't got any clothes on yet. In the end, Zhang Ci and Zhang Xinyuan opened the door laughing and running away without a trace. Bad friend. After Murong Cheng came in, he was surprised to see the mess in the room. How happy you are to be married to me, it makes you so excited. Muzi laughed out of breath, grabbed a pillow on the sofa and threw it over. Murong Cheng dodged, walked over and pulled Muzi who was behind the sofa to him, looked him up and down, with a playful smile in his eyes, are you ready for the bridal chamber? Muziang slapped him, and said with a smile, stop messing around. Help me get the dress. When Murong Cheng grabbed her hand, he felt icy and smooth to the touch, and when he wrapped it around her waist, his hand felt soft and tender. Put it on later, so as not to get wrinkled," he said, leaning over and pressing her on the sofa. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again." Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 964. The bride and groom were not seen for a long time at the banquet. The two bridesmaids, Zhang Xi and Zhang Xinyuan, came back to urge people, and they were also a little worried, fearing that Mu Zi would not be able to handle it by herself. Although Murong Cheng was there, men were rough, how could they know how to dress up? Before reaching the door opened, Mu Zi and Murong Cheng came out, followed by a makeup artist. Mu Zi changed into a long chiffon dress that was lighter than the wedding dress. It was lavender in color, with a slightly puffed skirt, and a half-hollow butterfly lace design on the shoulders, which was both elegant and pretty. She's apparently had her makeup reapplied and her hair restyled. Seeing Zhang Xi and Zhang Xinyuan come back, Mu Zi pretended to be annoyed and pointed at them, "No loyalty, no loyalty." The two looked at each other. Mu Zi took Murong Cheng's arm and went out to entertain guests. Zhang Xi saw the faint pink traces in the lace on the back shoulder, and turned to look at Zhang Xinyuan. "The technique is good, the painting looks very similar." Zhang Xinyuan: "I didn't even have time to start." After Mu Zi and Murong Cheng went out, they served wine to entertain the guests. The two stood together, the man was tall and handsome, and the woman was petite and soft, immediately attracting the attention of the audience. The guests at Murong Cheng's side praised the bride for her beauty and good temperament, which made Murong Cheng beam with joy and elation. Sidu Yan's guests, on the other hand, praised the groom for being young, promising, and imposing. Sidu Yan was smiling when he heard these compliments, but panicked in his heart. Not only is he young and promising, this guy is just short of becoming the king in Xianghai City. At the banquet, Murong Cheng also invited a magician to perform, so that even the unsociable guests would not be bored. In short, the scene was very lively. The wedding banquet didn't end until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. According to the custom, there should be a family banquet at 6 o'clock in the evening. The bride will have dinner with the groom's parents, as well as relatives and friends of the family. A member. However, it can be said that Murong Cheng and Qing Zhangmu's family have severed ties. He set up his own family in Xianghai, and his only mother is missing, so this family banquet is only for him and Mu Zi. They returned to the wedding room prepared by Sidu Yan, far away from the jubilation of the wedding banquet, without bodyguards and reporters around them. The world became quiet and peaceful, only the two of them were left. Mu Zi was suddenly at a loss, not knowing what to do next. Inside and outside the room are decorated with pink roses, and the fragrance of flowers can be smelled everywhere. In the bedroom, the big bed is soft, and the window curtains are hung with rose-colored fine gauze, which ripples gracefully when the wind blows. When Mu Zi walked to the window, she could see the sparkling lake in the distance, shining like gold. Murong Cheng wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, and kissed her shoulders, lingering warmly against her. Mu Zi's body couldn't help but tense. "She's a little nervous." Murong Cheng noticed it, and chuckled, "It's not like I haven't done it before." Except that they didn't go in, they had indeed had countless intimate contacts, but sometimes thoughts are very stubborn things, and Mu Zi is not immune. She carefully guarded the last line of defense until today, and was finally about to hand herself over to him. She somehow felt that this moment was a very important and sacred moment. If this kind of old-fashioned idea is made known to others, they will probably die of laughter. Mu Zi felt that Murong Cheng pulled down the zipper on her back. His warm palm was slightly rough, and stretched in from under the clothes, gently wrapping the plumpness of her chest. Without any obscenity, it only made people feel warm and at ease. Murong Cheng bowed slightly, and whispered in her ear, "Your heart beats so fast." Mu Ziyi's face was as red as the morning glow in an instant. "Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 965. The dress gradually peeled off. Mu Ziyi held Murong Cheng's hand, a little flustered. I want to take a bath first." Her palms were hot and she was sweating lightly. Makeup is on the face, and the skin is not breathable and comfortable enough. The hair uses a lot of hairspray to fix the hairstyle. Mu Ziyi thought again that she was wearing pantyhose with a waist effect under her skirt. Too annoying, she didn't want Murong Cheng to see those ridiculous flesh-colored pantyhose at such a critical moment. In short, Mu Ziyi felt that everything was wrong. She was not ready yet. For her first time, Mu Ziyi strives for perfection. Murong Cheng put his arms around her waist and said with a smile, "Let's wash together." No, Mu Ziyi blushed and pushed him away. "Washing with you is too wasteful of water." She ran into the bathroom and locked the door behind her back, her heart beating like thunder. She didn't hear the sound outside for a long time, and her mood gradually calmed down. She brushed her teeth seriously, bathed and scrubbed carefully, even washed her hair meticulously, but she didn't have time to dry it, so she wiped it half dry with a towel. Then come out wrapped in a towel. Murong Cheng sat by the bed and waited for her, surprisingly patient. There was a wine bottle on the low cabinet at his hand. Half a glass of wine was filled in the glass. The color was enchanting and gorgeous. Murong Cheng pulled her into his arms and sat down, and fed her a sip of wine. "You seem to be very nervous. Alcohol can strengthen your courage." He stared at her with a half smile, his eyes were evil, and he rubbed her back with one hand unhurriedly. With a little force, the towel came loose. For some unknown reason, Mu Ziyi quickly hugged Murong Cheng's neck, buried her head in his shoulders and neck, and closed her eyes tightly, as if she was too shy. Her cheeks were hot and hot, as if they were on fire. Then she felt herself being hugged. The towel slipped off completely, and Murong Cheng put her on the soft bed. Murong Cheng acted gently, treating her meticulously and patiently. Her breathing gradually became messy, panting slightly. Her whole body was ignorant. She didn't dare to open her eyes, and subconsciously followed his lead. But then it became more and more anxious. Murong Cheng was in a mess, and Mu Ziyi was also in a mess. During this period, she heard Murong Cheng calling her name. His voice was very soft, but it seemed to be very hard, as if he wanted to imprint that name on his heart and in his bones. Mu Ziyi finally plucked up the courage to open her eyes. She saw thin beads of sweat slipping down his handsome cheeks, and for some reason, her heart suddenly softened. Murong Cheng. She hugged him tightly, feeling that everything was worth it. This rebirth is not in vain. It's not in vain that she loves him. When it was over, both were exhausted. Murong Cheng had been enduring very hard, and only dared to indulge a little bit in the end, so cherished, but Mu Ziyi was still exhausted, exhausted to the point of collapse. Looking back, she actually didn't exert much strength, but she was just like a poor young grass, limp and unable to get up after being baptized by the thunderstorm. This is how Mu Ziyi feels now. Murong Cheng helped her wipe her body and coaxed her to get up for dinner. Musa was indeed a little hungry, but she was exhausted. Her body was limp and powerless. She buried her head in the pillow and shook her head, and said softly, "I'll eat later." She rested on the bed and fell asleep unknowingly. When she opened her eyes again, it was already 8 o'clock in the night. Murong Cheng was lying beside her, with his warm palms on her lower abdomen, wondering what he was thinking. Realizing that she was waking up, Murong Cheng smiled and pinched her nose lightly, saying, "The physical fitness is too poor." Mu Ziyi fell asleep, gained strength, and immediately replied bluntly, "It's you who went too far." "If I go too far, do you think you can still get up?" Murong Cheng shamelessly suppressed her, How about I go too far now? He never seems to be ashamed of this kind of thing, but rather proud and a little stinky. Musa didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and pushed his face hard. Get up. I'm going to eat. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 966. Since they came back, they went straight to the topic, not to mention eating, and they didn't even take a sip of water. Murong Cheng was really afraid that Mu Zi would starve to death, so he got up from her and didn't bother her anymore. The meals were all prepared by Chen Kaling in advance, and they were all auspicious dishes. Fish balls in milk soup are called Yashui Zionji, Warren Jujub soup is called Zhao's Hungaizi, crispy fried quail is wing to wing, and sweet cakes are sweet desserts, etc. However, the two of them tossed for too long, and the food was already completely cold. Murong Cheng went to the kitchen to warm up dishes, Mu Zi changed into cool home pajamas, and wandered around the house with nothing to do. The villa has a total of 3 floors. Compared with Mu Zi, this place is not too big, but it is superior in its exquisite and comfortable structure. On the ground floor there is an open living room, connected to the leisure area and dining area, and then there are 2 bedrooms, kitchen, bathroom, and a storage room. The second floor is a master bedroom, 3 guest rooms, a study room, a bathroom, and a small viewing terrace. There was nothing on the 3rd floor, it was just a steeple attic. Mu Zi could barely stand upright. She felt that if it was Murong Cheng, he would have to walk with his waist bent. There is a triangular window in the attic, which is very childlike. Mu Zi couldn't help thinking that when they have children in the future, they will definitely like this place very much. Little feet run around on the wooden floor making rattling sounds, while Murong Cheng will be very impatient and frown slightly. Mei yelled at them from downstairs, "Be quiet." Will he be so gentle? Or maybe, I want to be beaten again. Thinking of this, Mu Zi couldn't help laughing, and inexplicably began to look forward to what kind of scene Murong Cheng would discipline the children. Murong Cheng is very fierce. But for those who are close to him, his fierceness is just thunder and rain, and he can scold her bloody when he gets angry, and he will hug her in the end to coddle her. People who don't know him may think that this person is spirited split. Murong Cheng called her downstairs to eat, Mu Zi responded, and went downstairs to see that the dining table was already full of food. I'll serve the meal. Mu Zi took the initiative to share the housework. She filled 2 bowls of rice, added some more to Murong Cheng's bowl, put it in front of him like a virtuous wife, and said, "My husband has worked hard." Murong Cheng looked at the rice piled up in the bowl, then looked at Mu Zi with an unknown smile in his eyes. "Do you mean the same thing as I think about hard work?" Mu Zi, who had been polluted, could understand the deep meaning now. Her eyes flickered, and she lowered her head to eat. Hard work is hard work, what else can it mean? Murong Cheng smiled, picked up some food for her, and said, "My wife has worked hard too, eat more." Mu Zi felt that his words seemed to be teasing and sarcasm. But she was really hungry. She didn't have time to eat during the ceremony, and she kept toasting during the banquet, and when it was finally over, when she returned home, she was dragged to the bed by Murong Cheng and tossed and turned over and over again. Mu Zi ate a whole bowl of rice, including a lot of longfeng shrimp balls and lamb chops, and finally drank a bowl of sweet soup, finally getting full. Originally, I wanted to be virtuous for a while, to help wash the dishes and wipe the table or something. But now she was so stretched that she just wanted to lie down. "Tomorrow the servant will come and wash it," Murong Cheng said. When he said this, Mu Zi became dependent, and became more and more lazy to move. There is nothing to do after a full meal. She has just woken up, so now she is refreshed. On the first day of their wedding, she was still in the freshness of being a married woman. Although the two of them usually get tired of being together like this, but with their status, they feel very different. How exactly is it different, Muzi? I couldn't tell, but she just felt happy, very happy. Murong Cheng carried her to the balcony on the second floor to enjoy the shade. The terrace is covered with teak floor, clean and open, only a few straw futons are placed. Murong Cheng was sitting on the futon, Muzi was leaning against him, the evening breeze brushed against his skin, making it feel cool and comfortable. Murong Cheng, do you still remember teaching me to look at the stars? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 967. Yes, I remember, Murong Cheng agreed. Muzi asked anxiously, do you still remember which seat Muzi is? Murong Cheng raised his finger. Muzi laughed immediately, I knew you were going to talk nonsense again. Look, don't you remember? Murong Chenman said indifferently, the heart is the most important thing. As long as you have the heart, no matter which star it is, it can be the music constellation. Humph, sweet talk, Muzi murmured delicately. I know that he is fooling people again, but I still feel sweet and warm. The two stopped talking, and quietly looked at the summer night starry sky. Muzi found it unbelievable that at this time 2 years ago, she fell into Xinjiang and died, and 2 years later, she became his wife. Recalling all the things that happened in the past 2 years, it feels more vivid and vivid than the first 20 years of her life. It seemed that since meeting him, the days she had lived before seemed bleak and lifeless like a walking dead. Why? Is it because of love? Muzi raised the corners of her lips slightly and smiled. Murong Cheng lowered his eyes and asked her, what are you thinking? Muzi felt coy in his arms, and shyly said, I didn't think about anything. You must be thinking of me, Murong Cheng boasted without shame. Muzi wanted to scold him for being shameless, but then realized that she was really thinking about him just now, so she couldn't scold him, and gave him an angrily look. Her eyes were powerless, but sparkling, as if inhaling the charming light, with her own infinite style. Murong Cheng's heart skipped a beat. She has a magical power for him, a smile, a look, can make him fascinated. He looked at the girl in front of him, her sleepy sideburns were messy, softly touching her ears, pouring into his heart like a dream, itching and sweet. Murong Cheng couldn't help kissing her, trying his best to be gentle, but his breathing became more and more rough. The second time between two people is more natural. Muzi felt like a small boat, drifting helplessly in the overflowing ocean, being thrown to the cusp of the frightening waves from time to time. She was at a loss, crying and calling his name over and over again in confusion. Ushered in what happened was more intense stormy waves, with no end in sight. The starry night is as cool as water, and the love affairs are charming and sweet. When she opened her eyes the next day, it was past 9 o'clock in the morning, and Muzi couldn't believe that she had slept so soundly. On weekdays, she sleeps up to 8 o'clock. Even on holidays, she wakes up early, and then lies in bed to read a book and play with her mobile phone. Looks like you messed up last night. Muzi didn't dare to delay, so she hurriedly got up, dressed and washed. Today she invited friends to a party at home, and she hasn't prepared anything yet. When he went downstairs, he saw that there were 2 more people in the house, and Murong Cheng was talking to them. Hearing Muzi's footsteps, Murong Cheng looked back and introduced to her, this is Uncle Chin and Aunt Chin, who will be responsible for the daily life here from now on. It was a middle-aged couple who looked about 40 or 50 years old, honest and gentle, with a smile on their faces, looking like a husband and wife. They greeted Muzi, hi ma'am. Muzi's heart felt warm, and her smile was a little shy. She is a wife. Murong Cheng's wife. Aunt Chin is in charge of the kitchen and cleaning, and Uncle Chin is in charge of mowing the lawn and removing insects. If the water pipes or light bulbs are broken, you can ask him to fix them. Murong Cheng said. When your friends come over, you can let Bo Chin and Aunt Chin, we're getting ready. I made an appointment with them at 3 o'clock. Mu Zi replied. In order to attend Mu Zi's wedding, Zhang Xi and others rushed from Xinjiang to Jingling, but yesterday's wedding banquet was too busy, and Mu Zi couldn't take care of entertaining them, so they made an appointment to meet again the next day, which was considered practice. After all, after school starts, it will be difficult for everyone to see each other again. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 968. There are still several hours until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and there is plenty of time. Murong Cheng asked Aunt Chin to clean up the guest room first, and Uncle Chin set up an open-air grill on the lawn outside. The best party in summer is barbecue with cold beer. Mu Zi eagerly looked at him. What about me? What should I do? Murong Cheng pulled her over. The summer home pajamas were loose and soft, his hand slid in from his waist, stroking the tender skin of Xiao Shui, with a playful smile in his eyes. Sleep again. Mu Zi blushed and whispered, it still hurts. Last night's Murong Cheng was like a vicious wolf. At first he was gentle and cautious, but later on he became more and more greedy and fierce, begging her more than once. Although Mu Zi also enjoyed it, but it was tiring, and a little sore. Murong Cheng couldn't control himself at the time, but after seeing the marks on Mu Zi's body, he regretted it. He sighed lightly, kissed her lips, and said, what a poor little girl, let you rest for 2 days. Mu Zi pouted and looked at him suspiciously. Aunt Chin and Uncle Chin were busy inside and outside the house, while Mu Zi was bored at home, so Murong Cheng took her to the lake to go fishing. Dian Lake has beautiful scenery and is a natural fishing area. The big trees on the shore of the lake are leaning towards the center of the lake, casting a large area of shade. Occasionally, the wind blows, bringing the humidity of the lake, which is very cool and comfortable. Mu Zi felt a little strange. She thinks that fishing is the kind of hobby that can only be devoted to those who can hold their breath. Murong Cheng has a bad temper, so how can he calm down to fish? But later, she soon realized that she was thinking too much. Murong Cheng threw the fishing rod to her, took out his tablet computer, and sat on a low tree stump to handle his work. He is currently on his honeymoon, and Wang Zhan dare not disturb him even if he has something to do, so Murong Cheng just checked a few emails, and then flipped through the news. Seeing that the headlines on every website were about yesterday's wedding, he looked excitedly. When watching, from time to time Lo laughed out loud. Mu Zi was aroused by him, turned her head and asked, what did the news say? Praise us, Murong Cheng replied with a smile. Donating such a luxurious wedding dress will save face, and the mainstream media will definitely praise it. However, the behavior of throwing money in public places has been severely condemned by the relevant departments. They believe that Murong Cheng's actions ignore the hidden dangers of the city's safety, and may require him to pay a huge fine. In this regard, the public relations spokesperson of the Mushi Group said, fully cooperate with the relevant departments in the investigation, and wait for the fine notice at any time. Drizzle only. People are not short of money at all. The reporter also interviewed some people who picked up money at the scene that day and asked them about their situation at that time. Reporter, how did you feel at that time? Miracle, sprinkling money from the sky. So excited. Reporter, how did you know it was money? Boiled Ziobai in clear water, I don't recognize it, I see that others are picking it up, so I picked it up too, ha 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 ha. Reporter, about how much money did you pick up? Mengda, it's too much. I haven't gone to the bank to exchange it yet, so I don't know how the recent exchange rate is. Reporter, anything you want to say to the bride and groom? Finally get married, look at my name. Reporter, so do you think the president of the Mu group should be punished? Yazikoi, don't. Who will give away money after you are really fined? Muzi was overjoyed after watching it, her body trembled from laughing. Stop laughing, the fishing rod is shaking, Murong Cheng said. Muzi couldn't hold it back, she still smiled, and turned her gaze back to the lake. Seeing the buoy moving up and down violently, she realized it was a fish that had taken the bait. She quickly stood up and quickly went to retrieve the fishing line. I don't know what kind of big thing was caught in the lake, but it was so powerful that it jumped suddenly, the water splashed, and the fishing rod in Muzi's hand almost fell out. Being dragged, she staggered a few steps into the lake, and shouted anxiously, Murong Cheng, come and help. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 969. Murong Cheng watched Muzi's half-body go into the lake, suddenly remembered Du Hao's words, and was horrified in his heart. He wrapped his arms around Muzi's waist with one hand, and grabbed the fishing rod with the other. The fishing line was instantly taut, and Muzi finally breathed a sigh of relief. When the crisis was over, Murong Cheng couldn't help laughing. What strength do you have? A fish can drag you away. Muzi retorted, the strength just now was really great. Look at how promising you are. Murong Cheng laughed at her, holding the fishing rod tightly, and retrieving the line. Let me see what kind of fish is so capable that it wants to drag my new wife away. Muzi was also very curious, standing beside Murong Cheng and watching. The fishing line became tighter and tighter. Murong Cheng frowned slightly, the force of the thing in the water was stronger than he imagined. Muzi couldn't help being nervous beside him, and told him, slow down, don't break the thread. As soon as the words fell, the fishing rod trembled again, and the fish in the water seemed to be stronger than Murong Cheng. Murong Cheng immediately stabilized his body, but the muddy and slippery shore, his foot slipped, and he fell to the ground with a bang. Grass, Murong Cheng became furious and swears, but he still didn't let go of the fishing rod in his hand. His body was dragged by the fish in the water and went straight into the lake. Muzi was so frightened that she rushed over and hugged Murong Cheng's waist tightly. Even with the weight of two people, they still slid half a meter in the wet mud. Fortunately, it finally stopped. The fish couldn't pull them, and they couldn't pull the fish either, and the two sides were deadlocked. Muzi and Murong Cheng looked at me and I looked at you. After a moment of silence, Muzi burst out laughing. Can a fish drag you away? Muzi narrowed her eyes and teased. Murong Cheng got up very quickly, and when he was angry, he played supernaturally, and brought the fishing rod and fishing line 2 meters away to the shore, put one foot against the tree stump by the lake, and used his strength to reel in the fishing line. Muzi was terrified watching from the side, only felt that the fishing line was getting thinner and thinner, and it would collapse and fly away at any moment. The tug-of-war stalemate lasted for a long time, but in the end Murong Cheng won. A catfish at least 3 meters long was dragged ashore by Murong Cheng alive. Muzi was dumbfounded. Is this catfish essence? It's so big, she said in surprise. Murong Cheng raised his arm and wiped the mud off his face, and said coldly, it just happened to bake it in a while. The big catfish landed restlessly, slapped its tail vigorously, bounced its body extremely high, and then fell heavily into the mud, splashing countless mud spots. Muzi looked at Murong Cheng covered in mud, felt it was funny but couldn't bear it, and persuaded, forget it, it must have lived in this lake for many years, it's not easy, and such a big fish, the meat must be very old and unpalatable, let's put it back. Murong Cheng stepped forward and wanted to kick his feet, but Muzi stopped him with a smile, okay, don't be angry. Murong Cheng's distraught appearance was almost like a child's. The two dragged the catfish back into the water. This big catfish didn't know how to be grateful, and when it left, It flapped its tail excitedly, making Murongcheng and Muzi's bodies wet with mud. To tell the truth, if Huang Logui hadn't said that Murongcheng had done too many things that harmed Yin's morality, he really wanted to stamp this stupid fish to death. The body and face were covered with mud, and the fish could not be caught. The two went back to the house to take a bath. Sushi just now was so funny, Musa couldn't stop laughing while washing. Embarrassed, Murongcheng pressed her against the smooth wall and kissed her fiercely. The shower head spouted non-stop, the bathroom was shrouded in mist, Murongcheng's eyes became hot, and his breathing became rough. Muzi, I knew that this guy was going to break his promise. Don't. Muzi's face was flushed, and she pushed Murongcheng weakly, they are coming soon. Murongcheng bit her earlobe, and said hoarsely, it's okay, I can hurry up. Later, Muzi almost died in the bathroom. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 970. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, friends arrived at Muzi's new home one after another. Moving to a new house requires friends to help warm the house, gather popularity and wealth. Zhang Xi, Zhang Hinyuan, Zhuang Jia, Yu Yang, and others all brought gifts. Gu Shao also came. Gu Liang and Gu Yan were invited to Muzi's wedding, but Gu Liang didn't come, and Muzi thought it was normal. He heard that Gu Liang was about to take over the position of patriarch, so he must be very busy, right? Besides, Chu Mingjun didn't come, he and Lin Lin were still on their honeymoon and didn't come back. Then there was Zhuang Jia. She was going to bring her husband here, but it seemed that the two had a quarrel. Zhuang Jia came alone, and she was very unhappy. During the period, her husband called twice, probably trying to coax her, but Zhuang Jia refused to answer them. In the end, she got annoyed and turned off the phone directly. As for Zhuang Jia, once the eldest lady got angry, no one could persuade her. I told him before I went back to China that I want to attend the wedding together, Zhuang Jia said angrily. I promised well at first, but when the matter came to an end, I told me that I couldn't come because there was something urgent. Why did you go so early? Hey, people said it's something urgent, don't be angry, Zhang Hinyuan advised her. Look, didn't Wang Zilong come too? Is that military training as important as Zizi's marriage? But people say you can't violate discipline, and refuse to come anyway. Zhuang Jia is still angry, because this is not the first time. He was fine when he was abroad, but when he returned home, he was always pushy when he wanted to see his relatives and friends. Every time, there were various reasons. Can Zhuang Jia not get angry? But today I'm here to congratulate Zizi on her new marriage and housewarming. Zhuang Jia doesn't want to disappoint her friends. Just at this time, Zizi called everyone to go over to have a barbecue. Zhuang Jia shook off her troubles and went over happily. Barbecue is always better if you do it yourself. On the plate are all kinds of meat products that Aunt Chin has marinated in advance. Most of them are beef and chicken, and there are also a variety of vegetables. You can roast them however you want. Standing in front of the grill, Murongcheng looked like a chef, with a good look. Muzi and Zhang Si were cutting fruits aside, preparing to make fruit salad. Zhuang Jia and Zhang Hinyuan also joined the barbecue team. They took a few skewers of chicken wings and placed them on the charcoal grill with great interest. They brushed them with sauce and could hear the sweet sound of oil sizzling. Yu Yang and Gu Yan were the most leisurely, sitting and waiting for food under the sun umbrella. Muzi peeled an orange, threw the orange peel into the charcoal oven. The aroma of the orange mixed with the smell of the meat overflowed, making people move their index fingers. Zhuang Jia was hungry and asked, "Is there any fish? I want to eat grilled fish." "Yes, Yes, and Chin at the side heard it, and immediately handed the skewered fish to her. There are sweet fish and sorry. Muzi smiled and said, today at noon we went fishing by the lake, and we caught a catfish. It's at least 3 meters long, and its head is as big as it is. She stretched out her hand and made a big gesture. Really? Is there such a big fish? Zhuangjia stared. It's a 6-legged catfish, Yu Yang said. If it's that kind of thing, 3 meters is not too big. The biggest 6-legged catfish is at least 5 meters. Zhuangjia was even more surprised. Prosecutor Yu Yang also has research on biology. Yu Yang smiled lightly. There is no research, but just happened to encounter a corpse dismemberment case. The murderer used this catfish's characteristic of swallowing whole to dispose of the corpse. Police officer Zhang Ci has also seen it. Well, that catfish is quite edible, Zhang Ci casually agreed. Zhuangjia, feeling suddenly lost appetite. Zhang Xinyuan gently pushed her. Why are you in a daze? Be careful, it burns. Oh. Zhuangjia came back to her senses and turned the skewers over. I couldn't help but slander in my heart. The woman who will spend her whole life with Yu Yang in the future has such a big heart. Blessed to have each other in this life. Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 971. A group of people ate and drank until after 6 o'clock, and it was still early, so they gathered in the living room and chatted to pass the time. Guyan suggested playing cards, but Zhang Xinyuan couldn't play cards, and Muzi was also bad at cards, so Zhuangjia suggested telling stories to liven up the atmosphere. Guyan shouted out of boredom when he heard the words, it's not like a fairy tale meeting for children. Have you ever played cards better than your husband? Zhuangjia pointed at Murong Cheng, then tossed the dice in his hand, and said, here, take turns tossing the dice, whoever has the smallest number of points will be fined. Or fined with alcohol, or tell a funny story. How about it? When Guyan heard about the fine wine, he felt a little interesting. As a result, Zhuangjia mixed beer into half a bottle of red wine, then poured in orange juice, mature vinegar, mustard juice, and chili powder. Guyan's face turned pale with shock. You are drinking as a penalty? This is poison. Huh, Shao hasn't played this before. Zhuangjia looked at him unexpectedly. It's nothing. When we used to play, we would put washing powder in it, make up 8 kinds of seasonings, and call it 8 immortals crossing the sea. Zhuangjia followed her mother in the modeling circle since she was a child, and participated in various parties. She had a lot of fun and tried almost all tricky games. Guyan was speechless, but thinking about so many people, he would not be so unlucky to throw the smallest number of points, so he stopped objecting. Zhuangjia prepared a cup of 8 immortals crossing the sea enthusiastically, and placed it firmly in the center of the coffee table. How is it? Who will come first? She looked around at the crowd, feeling excited that she was gearing up. Murong Cheng picked up the 3 dice on the coffee table. I'll go first. After all, 3 6s were thrown. Everyone. Murong Cheng looked at Muzi. Shall I throw it for you? Before Muzi could answer, everyone shouted together, no. It's boring if it's all 6. Zhuangjia immediately grabbed the dice and stuffed it into Muzi's hand. Muzi smiled and rolled the dice. 455, the number is not too small. Then everyone rolled the dice one by one, and in the end it was Zhuangjia who had the smallest number of points. Guyan gloated, are you going to drink the 8 immortals? What's the rush? Zhuangjia gave him a look. I choose to tell stories. Listen up, listen up. Once upon a time, a girl said to a boy that a girl with big breasts cried and tears fell on her breasts, while girls with small breasts cried. The girl cried, and the tears fell to her feet. Do you think I cried? Where did the tears fall? Zhuangjia giggled, pretending to be a fool, looking around at everyone, and then said, the boy said, you have a big face, and you're done before the tears fall. Ha 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 ha. She laughed so hard that she couldn't straighten up, and then looked up, but saw that everyone in the room was staring at her blankly. Embarrassed, Zhuangjia wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes. What's wrong? Isn't it funny? The corner of Guyan's mouth twitched. Is that counted? Of course it counts. A joke is also a storytelling. Zhuangjia curled her lips, a little depressed, feeling that she didn't heat up the atmosphere. She threw the dice back on the table and said, come on, keep going. The person with the lowest points for the second time is Zhang Ci. Zhang Ci has a cold and arrogant personality, and she acts like a man. She is not as lively as Zhuangjia, and she can't tell stories, let alone tell jokes. And all. Seeing this scene, everyone looked at her with wide eyes, wanting to see what Zhang Ci's expression would be after drinking. Zhang Ci really didn't pay attention to this wine. She had drank even the nastiest thing, but when the wine glass was brought to her nose, the indescribable pungent smell came over her face. Zhang Ci. Let me tell you a story. Zhang Ci put the cup back expressionlessly. Let me tell you about the big catfish dismemberment case. Everyone.